laundry today, 3 mortals attempted to intimidate me. Unaware of my divine powers, I extended my hand and clicked my fingers. Then asked them a simple question. Do you know the secrets of yoga fire? What Andrew Tate has just described is a neuro-linguistic programming technique known as a pattern interrupt. Most people don't realize this, but our brains run on autopilot scripts 99% of the time. Our attention can only process so much information at once, so we defer more repetitive tasks to our autopilot. When you first learned how to drive, it required concentration. Now, you can zone out while autopilot takes over, aka highway hypnosis.
When suddenly there's a moment where you don't quite remember a chunk of the driving that you just did.
So the pattern interrupt breaks your primitive brain's autopilot, forcing a state change. Here is mentalist, hypnotist, and magician Darren Brown to explain further using an example nearly identical to Andrew Tate's.
You know, I found this most interesting actually was like applying this in slightly more useful everyday situations was as a sort of like a self-defense technique. I was walking and this guy comes up and he's drunk. It's about 3 a.m, drunk, aggressive. He's with his girlfriend, clearly looking for a fight.
So we have someone in an aggressive state, just like in Andrew's story.
He comes up to me and he says, what are you fucking looking at? What are you looking at? So I said to him, the wall outside my house isn't 4 foot high.
So the intent of this pattern interrupt is to cause some confusion. You force the subject's attention away from what's at hand into either calculating and solving the problem or accessing their memory bank. But either way, the state change has already begun.
He's got all this adrenaline, and then a thing like that from me, which is just out of context. Like, it makes sense. I'm not like talking gibberish. It makes sense, but it's just out of context. Right. So now suddenly he's thinking, I've missed something. So now he went, what? And I said, and his girlfriend walked off, and I said, the wall outside my house isn't 4 foot high. I spent some time in Spain. The walls there were very high, but if you look at the ones here, they're tiny, they're nothing. And then he just sort of broke down. He sort of went, wah.
Darren successfully uses the pattern interrupt and confusion to break the aggressive state. They are not sure why this changed their minds, but it did.
No, it wasn't quite crying, but it was like all the adrenaline and everything just flooded out of him. And he sat down, and I ended up sitting next to him on the, on the roadside. So the plan was I was going to try and stick his feet to the floor, and I had his whole plan, but he just kind of collapsed and sat down.
You were going to stick his feet to the floor with hypnosis?
Yeah, that was because I knew it'd be like this highly suggestible state, and like either way, the moment of aggression had passed.
Confusion is just one of the many tools in a hypnotist's arsenal. By occupying your conscious mind with a problem, overclocking your processor, it leaves your unconscious mind vulnerable and open to suggestion. Here is an example of what I suspect to be a pattern interrupt used offensively. During this moment from the viral debate Russell Brand did with Bill Maher, and we know Brand himself is also a magician.
With like neuro-linguistic programming techniques.
I will lie.
When's my answer?
Just give me the specific example.
I understand the basic point.
Give me a specific example.
All right.
I'm with you. I think it's a false equivalency, Russell.
During the debate, Russell loses a bit of ground with Bill, who gives a point to Dr. Eggman.
That's your own biases, mainly.
It's not about...
Brand's tone shifts, and he pushes back in this move.
It's a false equivalency because you don't actually know anything about...
It doesn't work, but watch how Russell leans in and opens his mouth to speak.
Bias. It's a false equivalency because you don't actually know anything about any...
The intent of this move was to create himself an opening to reclaim some ground. But what do you guys think? Was this a pattern? Like and subscribe for more.